home profile. Tonight, America at war.
Good evening. The other day, the American commander of Operation Desert Storm warned Saddam Hussein, "The best is yet to come," he said. Well, today, a translation from Secretary of State James Baker for the American people. The worst is yet to come. NBC's Andrea Mitchell on Capitol Hill, where Secretary Baker spelled out his warnings to Congress today. Andrea?
Tom, Secretary Baker's warning about the sacrifices of war was grim. But after congressional criticism that the administration has not looked ahead, for the first time, Baker also outlined his vision of a post-war Middle East.
Baker suggested that both Iran and Iraq should have a role in post-war arrangements to keep the peace.
No regional state should be excluded from these arrangements. Post-war Iraq could have an important contribution to play, and so could Iran as a major power in the Gulf.
He raised the possibility that a permanent ground force, perhaps under United Nations control, might be needed after the war. He called for regional arms control and said there may be opportunities to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but...
Let's not fool ourselves, though. The course of this crisis has stirred emotions among Israelis and Palestinians that will not yield easily to conciliation.
The committee applauded his ideas, but complained bitterly that the Allies are not doing enough to pay for the war.
How about the details on burden sharing, Mr. Secretary? Why is that a problem? Why do we just get, literally, as some members complain, get stonewalled?
Well, I don't think it is a problem.
Japan finds it much easier to find money to buy up America from MCA to Rockefeller Center than to begin to pay its appropriate share of the cost.
Those pledges are now beginning to be paid. I think that that's a remarkable degree of participation by our coalition partners.
But after Baker smoothed troubled waters, Pentagon officials briefed Congress on the war's progress amidst growing opposition to a ground war.
I would hope that we do not proceed to ground action, and I hope it doesn't become necessary.
The opposition to a ground war is beginning to cost the administration political support just when it's going to need it most. Tom?
Thank you, Andrea. And as the air war continued today, with more dramatic Allied kills, the preparations for that ground war picked up pace as well. We have NBC's Arthur Kent in Saudi Arabia tonight, Fred Francis at the Pentagon. Arthur, let's begin with you and what you're learning about the prospects for a ground war.
Tom, no clear sign yet when a ground war will be, but today we had a glimpse of what it will be. Massive.
It is the largest movement of British armor since World War II, a rehearsal for the ground war to come. Together with U.S. Marines, 20,000 British troops practice in advance against Iraqi positions in Kuwait.
The fact that they cannot attack us from the air means that we can tighten right up, which makes our administration much easier and our command and control.
Elsewhere in the desert, U.S. Apache helicopters prepare for their part in the ground war, test-firing Hellfire-guided missiles. But the real test, the Apache's night-fighting capability.
In the Apache, it's the darkness is gone for you in your right eye. You can see just as well as you can see right here tonight.
I'm going to be real glad to be American instead of Iraqi.
Skimming the desert floor, a missile is fired and hits the practice target. But for these U.S. pilots today, the targets were real. They pitted their F-15s against Iraqi warplanes fleeing to Iran.
One guy was pulling up, just slow rolling right, slow roll. His whole tail was gone, flames coming out of the bottom of the jet. Don't see anything.
2 Sukhoi 25 ground attack aircraft were shot down. 2 MiGs are listed as presumed down.
Good to be back on the ground. Feel good, though.
You, sir?
I feel great.
For these Marine FA-18s, bad weather interrupted their attacks on Iraqi Republican Guard units. But cockpit camera tape from previous sorties reveals the pilots are scoring hits.
And important for U.S. and Allied war planners, the Iraqis are not scoring back. No Allied warplanes shot down today. It was quiet on the ground. So another day chipping away at Saddam Hussein's ability to hold on to Kuwait. Tom?
Thank you, Arthur Kent in Saudi Arabia. NBC's Fred Francis is at the Pentagon now with an update on the Allied effort to neutralize Saddam Hussein's best ground fighting force. Fred, what's the latest there?
Well, Tom, the focus of the war continues to be the 150,000 strong Republican Guards and how many of its tanks will survive Allied bombing.
This is the T-72 tank, the best Iraq's Republican Guards have. Called the Lion of Babylon, there are 550 of them. To U.S. attack bomber pilots, killing a T-72 now is like blowing up an enemy jet. It is one of the top targets in the war. And the next phase of the war turns on how many T-72s, and to a lesser extent, the other 3,500 tanks are destroyed in the days ahead. None are out in the open. This French photograph shows Iraqi armor protected by berms, literally walls of sand. But Saddam protects the T-72 the most thoroughly. Many are buried up to the turret in sand, then wrapped with sandbags, hard to kill.
A tank that is completely dug in with only its turret exposed or a large berm all around the tank pretty much takes a direct hit or a special munition from the B-52 to get it.
Kelly would not reveal how many of Iraq's best tanks have been destroyed by special munitions. But a senior Pentagon official said that Allied aircraft are killing on the average 10 T-72s a day, and that the goal is to destroy more than 200 before the ground war begins. The official said, quote, that goal is being met. Also, before the ground war begins, the Allies must collapse most of the major bridges near Kuwait to stop the flow of supplies to Iraqi troops. British jets knocked out this bridge yesterday. So far, 44 of the key bridges in southern Iraq have been destroyed.
Tom, one thing Pentagon officials say is being forgotten about the beginning of the ground war, and that is that the air war will not end then. It just gets more violent for the Iraqi army. Tom?
Thank you, Fred Francis. And when Nightly News continues in a moment, what's up in Iran? And King Hussein makes a final break with the United States.
My grandfather loved the unknown. I want a sure thing. I drive a new kind of Oldsmobile, the all-new Bravada, perfect for this jungle because it's got Smart Trap, a new anti-lock braking and all-wheel drive system that automatically sends power to the wheel that needs it. So I'm ready for the unexpected, whether I'm traveling across the river and into the trees,
This is the new generation, or just visiting your old man in the sea.
Bravada, engineered for the unexpected.
I'll never get through tomorrow. I don't get some Z's.
Introducing single-dose maximum strength Nitol. Just one will help you fall fast asleep fast. New maximum strength Nitol. Just one Nitol will help you get a lot of Z's.
Ooh, I love the taste of Crab Delights from Lewis Kemp. Crab Delights tonight. It's a seafood paradise.
So easy, so delicious.
Crab Delights tonight
from Lewis Kemp.
With every passing day, the role of Iran in the Persian Gulf situation grows larger and larger. Once again today, Tehran, the capital of Iran, was a crossroads of diplomatic activity. And NBC's Ed Rabel is there again tonight. Ed, what's the latest?
Well, Tom, no matter what Iran's peace plan may be, the Soviet deputy foreign minister showed up here today to lend diplomatic muscle to Tehran's efforts to mediate an end to the war.
We are in favor of any proposals which can put an end to the hostilities.
Belanogov is not just supporting Iran's attempt to negotiate a settlement. At the same time, he's saying the U.S. is making a mistake by rebuffing Tehran's offer to act as mediator between Washington and Baghdad. The U.S., he says, has to respect Iran's position.
If it doesn't, then it will be detrimental to the interest of the United States.
Belanogov denied knowing details of Iran's plan, but if a Kuwaiti newspaper's version is correct, here, in part, is what Iran is suggesting to Saddam Hussein. A complete Iraqi withdrawal from Kuwait. One of Iran's two top leaders, either the Ayatollah Khamenei or President Rafsanjani, would lead a pan-Islamic team to Baghdad to urge withdrawal of all Allied forces from the region. If they were successful, an all-Islamic peacekeeping force would then move in. A non-aggression pact would be signed between Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the other Gulf cooperation nations, and possibly even Turkey and Pakistan. Diplomats here agree the Allied coalition would never accept such a proposal. So why, then, did Turkey, a solid member of the coalition, send its foreign minister here today? No sooner had he gotten off the plane then he was reiterating the Allied position which would torpedo the Iran plan for peace.
The only way to solve the crisis is the withdrawal of the Iraqi forces from Kuwait, unconditional, according to the United Nations Security Council resolutions.
And why, despite Allied claims that from 85 to 110 Iraqi planes have sought safe haven in Iran, do Iranian leaders admit to only 13? Just today, Iran's foreign minister denied reports that more Iraqi planes had arrived overnight and that Iraqi pilots wanted to go home.
Both of them are false. False rumor.
Tom, Iran's foreign minister told me today that he still had not heard back from Saddam Hussein on Iran's peace plan. An Iraqi delegation which returned to Baghdad this weekend from Iran was supposed to deliver the peace plan to Saddam Hussein, but no word back yet from Baghdad. Tom?
Thank you, Ed Rabel. In Iran tonight, Iraq's neighbor to the west, of course, is Jordan, in the past an ally of Saddam Hussein. In this war, Jordan's heart has been with Saddam, but its king has been on the fence. Until today. NBC's Dennis Murphy is in Amman tonight.
It was a speech to a nation already firmly behind Saddam Hussein.
This bombing started from the first hours and took the form of a war that aims to destroy all the achievements of Iraq and return it to primitive life.
Rhetorically, emotionally, the king has thrown in with the country he called brotherly Iraq. His people, Jordanians, Palestinians, have been with Iraq from the start. These demonstrators are asking the king to give them weapons to fight for Saddam. Tonight, the king denounced the U.S. and its Western allies.
If this is an example of the further role of the United Nations in the new world order, what an ominous future lies before all nations.
King Hussein has cultivated his image as the West's moderate Arab friend for the last 35 years. But as he shuttled about the West, pleading for an Arab solution to this crisis, he got frosty receptions. When Allied warplanes strafed Jordanian oil tankers in Iraq, killing some drivers, injuring others, the king went to their hospital beds. The attacks may have been the last straw. One Jordanian analyst called tonight's speech the king's strongest ever.
It was forceful, honest, right from the guts, and reflecting the mood of the people of Jordan and most of the Arab world.
The king concluded with a melancholy plea for a ceasefire to avoid catastrophe.
The alternative to a ceasefire is the destruction of Arabs and Muslims.
Tonight, the king's long-perceived tilt toward Iraq has become an embrace. Dennis Murphy, NBC News, Amman.
This evening, President Bush said that King Hussein was making a mistake by siding with Iraq. Bush warned that Jordan risked becoming isolated from the rest of the world. When Nightly News continues in a moment, vital signs and the high toll of a war closer to home.
When the sun and the rain have slowly worked their magic and the fruit is simply at its best, it's picked for Smucker's Simply Fruit. Pure, fresh, uncomplicated. Smucker's Simply Fruit is 100% fruit, pure spreadable fruit. Smucker's Simply Fruit, just about the closest thing to fresh fruit you'll ever taste.
Hey, the boots come a long way for one day.
Without a hitch.
Not what I hear.
What?
At the airport, someone swiped your wallet.
Oh, right.
What about your client dinner tonight? You know, you're sitting on the biggest order of the year.
Is Mr. Moore here?
I'm Chris Moore.
I've got you a replacement card in cash from American Express.
Thanks a lot.
How did you do that?
Only one card gives you the privileges of membership, the American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
Stouffer's invites you to eat like you really like to eat. Introducing 8 of your all-time home-style favorites, like tender Salisbury steak with our original macaroni and cheese, sliced turkey breast in gravy with homemade stuffing. And to tempt you even more, they're all under 370 calories. So dig in. They're new from Stouffer's.
Caprice is a new benchmark, a high-quality, performance-oriented, full-size sedan. Look at the attention to detail, the perfect fit. It's a bunch of car for the money.
The body is practically invincible with its extensive use of two-sided galvanized steel. And for all that, it now comes with a little 24-karat gold.
Chevrolet Caprice Classic is Motor Trend Car of the Year.
It's the kind of car an owner will brag about to friends.
Tonight on Vital Signs, we want to look at another war, the war here at home against AIDS. While there has been some progress in treating it, AIDS does remain a killer, and the killing pace is about to pick up at an alarming rate. NBC Science correspondent Robert Bazell tonight.
The disease has been recognized for almost 10 years now. In that time, 100,000 Americans have died from AIDS. But federal health officials expect that another 100,000 will die within the next 3 years. Last June, we profiled Steve Kraft, a man who has lived with AIDS for many years. He was feeling well enough to play tennis regularly. These days, Kraft no longer plays tennis.
I'm in enormous pain all the time. I've developed the wasting syndrome, which is the actual process whereby the body is being consumed by the virus.
Kraft's predicament illustrates a cruel fact about AIDS. Even though some people with AIDS are living longer than they did a few years ago, the virus still destroys their bodies. Most gay men who became infected got the AIDS virus in the early 80s. Studies show that the time from infection to getting AIDS is usually about 10 years.
We're right at the peak where the big bunch of people who are infected in the early 80s are coming into where they're vulnerable for AIDS and then death.
The statistics are frightening for people such as Chuck Frucci, who knows he is infected with the virus, but does not have AIDS.
Every Thursday morning, when the local gay newspaper comes out, the first thing I do is open it up and look at the obituary page.
San Francisco's new health commissioner is another one of the estimated 1 million Americans who are infected.
Unless something comes along to stop the virus from replicating, I don't necessarily think that I'm going to be around in 2 or 3 years.
Longtime AIDS activists say that many people are starting to forget about AIDS just when the big wave of deaths and illnesses is about to hit.
The great fear, I think, is the feeling that society views itself as having done what it could about AIDS. And it comes just at a time when society is about to really begin to see the breadth of the epidemic for the very first time.
Research continues, but for people like Steve Kraft, there is little hope that anything will come out of the clinic or the laboratory that will be helpful. After this coming wave of deaths and illnesses, health officials expect to see more deaths among the groups who became infected in the mid-80s. That is mostly people in the inner cities, and that group includes ever-increasing numbers of women and children. Robert Bazell, NBC News, New York.
When we come back, there is some good news about gasoline prices.
In art, matters of taste are often subjective. But in life, good taste is well defined. Fancy Feast gourmet cat food. In the bold single-serving can. Exceptionally moist, uniquely delicious. For a gourmet taste to satisfy even the most discriminating connoisseurs. Fancy Feast. Good taste is easy to recognize.
You're on your way. The world is opening its doors.
When I was growing up, Mom and Dad taught me that we've only got one planet and we'd better take care of it. Now I'm about to join a company that's committed itself to helping people preserve our wildlife and to finding new ways to protect the earth.
Yes, you can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
Can't wait.
'Cause sound lets you do great things.
What do professionals do when they get a clogged sink, a stopped-up shower, a backed-up tub? They just
pour in the power.
The professional power of professional strength liquid Drano with 3 active ingredients, the power it takes to clear really tough clogs. Professionals use the professional liquid, and now you can too.
Pour in the power.
Professional strength liquid Drano.
During the course of one 60-minute workout, a body can be depleted of vitamins B6 and C, carbohydrates, and valuable potassium. all of which, it so happens, can be replaced by eating one Chiquita banana. So whatever you put out, put back. Chiquita, quite possibly the world's perfect food.
Since the war began 3 weeks ago, oil prices have fallen steadily, and now pump prices finally are catching up. But should those pump prices have gone up in the first place? NBC's Robert Hager tonight.
Gasoline prices are down everywhere. In some places, they have, for the first time, fallen as low as they were before the Gulf crisis began. And at this station in Los Angeles, unleaded regular is suddenly below $1 a gallon again.
But I'm no dummy. When I see 99, baby, I come for it.
Same thing in Atlanta, where just this morning, this station went down to 99 cents.
At this price, it's fantastic. It really is.
But it took gasoline a long time to come down. When the price of crude oil first shot up last August and peaked in mid-October, the price of gas at the pump shot up too, reaching near peak levels about a week later. But whereas crude oil started falling right away, gas prices at the pump stayed at peak for another 2 months. It wasn't until late December, just before Christmas, that gas prices finally started down. Analyst Trilby Lundberg, whose newsletter surveys thousands of gas stations.
There is no current reason to think that there will be an immediate shortage. Therefore, the fears of the oil industry somewhat calmed, and the price response of consumers has pulled the price down.
Today, the American Automobile Association, AAA, confirmed that when prices were high, motorists were resisting, not buying as much, and switching from higher-grade gas to regular. AAA said gasoline deliveries to service stations fell last year for the first time in 7 years.
One fact, all the while prices were gyrating wildly up and down, the supply of oil on the international market was like this, constant and abundant. The market was driven by speculation, and some would say fear, others would argue greed. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
Time now for commentary from John Chancellor on what lies ahead. John?
Tom? The war is now in its 22nd day, and during these last 3 weeks, the bombing seems to have been on a scale not seen since World War II. Hundreds of tons of bombs dropped, tens of thousands of sorties by Allied aircraft. Air supremacy has been achieved. But we were told yesterday that air power hasn't broken the back of Iraq's army. The president said he is skeptical that air power alone can do the job. Officials at the Department of Defense went further. They said Iraq's best troops, its tanks and artillery, have in the main survived the Allied bombing campaign. And that's big news, and also bad news for those who hoped the war could be won from the air. The administration yesterday, in effect, issued a warning that the next phase of the war may soon begin, the ground war. Mr. Bush sent his Secretary of Defense and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs on a quick trip to the war zone. Hard to believe they will recommend that the war be continued only from the air. They're the ones who told him the air war by itself isn't enough. They may report back on Monday. Wednesday is the beginning of a period of moonless nights, just right for Allied troops and tanks to move into Kuwait and maybe Iraq. The last of the American tanks are now in position. Air power didn't knock off Saddam Hussein's army, so it looks now as though armor and infantry will get their turn. That is certainly the message the Bush administration was sending out yesterday. Tom?
Thank you, John. On Wall Street today, stock prices closed sharply higher in very heavy trading. The Dow Industrial Average has gained 117 points in the past week.
One night in Rome, just once in a lifetime, the world's greatest tenors sang together. Luciano Pavarotti, Placido Domingo, Jose Carreras, in concert. Now, it's yours on London cassettes, compact discs, and home video. When 1 in 4 adults looks at dairy food, their stomach says stop. Say no now, or pay later. Antacids aren't made for this problem, called lactose intolerance. But new Dairy Ease is. It's not an antacid, but a natural nutritional supplement that helps comfortable digestion of ice cream, cheese, and milk. Now enjoy dairy food as naturally as everyone else with pleasant-tasting, chewable new Dairy Ease.
A lot of people can't wait until they retire. But I always liked my work. It worried me that when I turned 65, I'd have to leave. Rules are rules, and that was company policy. Then AARP helped get mandatory retirement eliminated. Now I can retire when I want to retire.
Bye, dear.
Not when someone else wants me to.
AARP, making a difference.
The sun is bright and warm, but it's also sweet. The proof? Delicious sun-sweet pitted prunes, made from sweet, luscious, sun-ripened plums. No wonder they're called sun-sweet. Only one prune tastes sun-sweet.
The same medicine found in the prescription drug Motrin. Same as in Motrin, in non-prescription strength.
If you want the same medicine found in prescription Motrin, wouldn't it just be simpler to ask for Motrin IB? Non-prescription strength Motrin IB. Accept no alternatives.
Danny Thomas died today of a heart attack. He was the embodiment of the American dream, son of an immigrant family who went on to fame and fortune and good works. NBC Stephen Frazier.
Danny Thomas's popular nightclub act flopped so badly on television that he declared the new medium was only for idiots and vowed never to return. But in 1953, he was back, starring in a family comedy called Make Room for Daddy. It became one of TV's most enduring shows and lifted Thomas from entertainer to America's dad.
Don't be silly. Whoever heard of a 6-year-old chorus girl?
Well, couldn't you lie about my age?
The country could use situation family shows again. See, we never did sitcom. We did situation family.
Were there any situations from your home family life that were used for a TV show on Make Room for Daddy?
Lots of them. Lots of them. And also from the family lives of the writers, the producers, whatever happened crazy at the house.
He was about the greatest humorous storyteller in the world because you believed him. He was very honest when he spoke.
He defined the Middle European, in his case, the Lebanese first generation who came to America, who weren't as delicate and sophisticated as Ozzie and Harriet or Father Knows Best.
With Carl Reiner, Thomas produced dozens of television series and discovered new stars such as Mary Tyler Moore, his shows shaping the first TV generation. He was born Amos Jacobs, one of 10 children of Lebanese immigrants who settled in Toledo. Danny and Thomas were 2 of his brothers. Struggling in his early work as a radio actor, he prayed to St. Jude, the patron saint of hopeless causes. In gratitude for his success, he founded St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Memphis and raised money for its cancer research programs literally until he died. He was there yesterday. And he was working right to the end, here on Late Night with David Letterman, a meaningful appearance for the man who once said the important thing was to be wanted.
Is that your nose, or are you eating a banana?
Stephen Frazier, NBC News.
That's Nightly News up to the minute.